Today we will explore systems theory, one of the most foundational framework in human resource development. And I'm sure that by end of this session, you will understand that how systems thinking transforms our approach to organizational learning and development. You will see how HRD interventions often miss critical systems component and how adopting a systems perspective can dramatically improve our effectiveness. Let me begin with a fundamental question that in practice, some very well designed and well thought HRD interventions and training programs, they failed. They failed to create the lasting organizational change. And I'm sure that by end of this session, you would be able to find out answer to this question. But before that, let me introduce to you the general systems theory, which emerged in mid 20th century as a revolutionary way of understanding complex phenomena. Ludwig von Bertalanffy, the father of general systems theory, challenged the mechanistic worldview that dominated science. Instead of breaking things down into isolated parts, Bertalanffy proposed studying the relationship and interactions between components. And you may attempt to simplify it in your way that a mechanistic view is studying a single instrument in an orchestra. And systems theory is like understanding how all instruments work together to create a symphony. In HRD, this means we can't just focus on individual training program. We must understand how they interact with organizational culture, management systems, and of course, business processes. The core insight in this is a system is more than sum of its parts. When elements interact, they create emergent properties that can't be predicted from studying components in isolation. This principle, often called holism, is why a team's performance is not simply the sum of individual competencies. This also we call as synergy. This also we refer as gestalt. In organizations, this manifests everywhere. A brilliant training program can fail if organizational system does not support transfer of learning. An individual's motivation depends not just on personal factors, but on team dynamics, leadership behavior, and organizational culture. And every system, including HRD system, has four essential components. Inputs are resources that feed the system. In HRD, these include human capital, learners' existing knowledge, skills, and motivation. Then financial resources in terms of having a training budget, technology investments, then information, that is performance, data pertaining to it, business goals, learning needs, and fourth, of course, the time available for learning and development. And then the processes transform inputs into output. For HRD, these are learning activities, workshops, e-learning, coaching, and the design processes, need assessment, curriculum development, effectiveness ascertainment, and then the delivery mechanism, that is facilitation, online platforms, on the job training, and then support structures, mentoring, looking at the mentor-mentee relationship. And after input and processes, there are outputs. There are the results produced. In HRD, at individual level, the results are new competencies, changed behavior, improved performance. At team level, enhanced collaboration. There is a shared mental model. And at organizational level, we find improved culture, improved business matrices. As a part of the output, when we see that how input, throughput, and output, they interact with each other, and what kind of the feedback loop is created, which regulates the system. There may be negative feedback that maintains stability by counteracting the deviations. For example, when training evaluation shows only 70% achieving competencies against a target of 90%, the program is modified to close the gap. The feedback negates the deviation from what you intended to achieve. Similarly, there is a positive feedback which amplifies change. The example is that the early adopters, they share their story and success breeds success. I can give you an illustration for this. Consider implementing a customer service training program where inputs are service representatives, training budget, customer complaints data. The processes are workshop delivery, role-playing exercises, coaching. The outputs are improved service behavior, reduced complaints, higher satisfaction, and the feedback that the customer surveys, they inform how to refine the program. Success stories motivate continued participation. After understanding this, let me look at the openness and the closeness of the system. Understanding the distinction between the open and the closed system is crucial for HRD practitioners. Closed system operates in isolation. Think of a traditional classroom where learning is separated from work context. The problem in the closed system is that entropy increases. Learning decays without refinement from the environment. Open systems continuously exchange information and energy with their environment. And the modern HRD embraces open systems. It says that the learning happens not in isolation, but through continuous interaction with the work, the challenges which are appearing there in the work, the networks, the peer networks, the organizational dynamics. So both are different. The closed system approach, it sends employees to leadership training, expect transformation upon return. An open approach, it integrates leadership development with a real project, peer feedback, and organizational support system. At Tata, leadership development is intentionally aligned with appraisal, project management, and internal mobility. This ensures that learning objectives are reinforced not just in the classroom, but through performance reviews, through actual business assignments, and the open HRD system that makes Tata to keep on breeding good set of leaders. In open system, learning is embedded in the complex organizational ecology. Success requires alignment between the individual development, team dynamics, and organizational systems. There could be another striking example of open systems practiced by L&T in their academy, where the learning modules are continually linked to the active infrastructure projects. Lessons in safety and project management are validated back in the field, demonstrating real-time boundary crossing between the learning environment and operational system. That is why the 70-20-10 model works there. The 70% learning from experience, the open system interactions, 20% from others, the social system, what I have been talking about, the social learning, and 10% only through the formal training, which can be closed if not properly integrated. After knowing that how the closed and the open system works in the HRD context, let's look at the how systems properties they're implemented there in HRD domain. Systems exhibit several key properties that directly impact HRD. One of them is equifinality, means multiple paths can lead to the same outcome. In HRD terms, there is no single best way, the way to develop competencies. Some learn through formal training, others learn through mentoring, others through trial and error. So, effective HRD systems provide multiple pathways and provides opportunity to learners to create their own sketch and see their own image there in the learning systems. Then there is interdependence, which means changing one element affects other. Train frontline employees without preparing their supervisors. The system resists change. Develop individual skills without addressing team processes. Performance improvement will be there Answer is no, perhaps no. Then emergence creates properties that can't be predicted from one single or individual component, because the team creativity emerges from diverse perspectives, emerges from the interaction of the diverse perspectives. The organizational learning emerges from individual learning combined with knowledge sharing systems. So the dynamic equilibrium shows systems constantly adapt while maintaining identity. Organizations must learn to balance stability, that is, maintaining core capabilities, with the change, that is, developing new competencies. And HRD helps, sorry, managing this tension. And one of the examples which is coming in my mind is of Mahindra and Mahindra, their digital transformation. This digital transformation cascades training to all system levels, adapting approaches based on constant feedback from dealers and employees. This shows equifinality in practice. Success comes via multiple feedback driven routes, not through one prescribed path. Let me share a real example, keeping the name in disguise, that a manufacturing company implemented the technical training for operators. Initially, it failed. You know why? System analysis revealed that the supervisors were not trained to support new methods. The interdependence was not created. The reward system penalized experimentation, misaligned subsystems. Equipments were not updated to match the new techniques. The input process mismatch was there. Only when the all system elements aligned, the program succeeded like anything. Now it's time to understand that how HRD is a system. Now let's examine HRD itself as a system within the larger organizational system. The HRD process as a system, when we are following the Jacobs framework, the HRD process operates systematically where there is assessment and analysis is there. That is input gathering. The performance gap, learning needs, organizational goals are assessed. Then there is a design and development, process creation. Learning solutions support, looking at the implementation, the system activation. Then the program delivery, the change management, the evaluation part, the feedback generation. So we find that each phase is interconnected. Weak assessment leads to misaligned design. The poor implementation undermines good design. And without evaluation, the system can't control itself. So, when we are looking at HRD as a system, every HRD intervention, whether training or organizational development or performance support, in itself a system and is structured on the job training, SOJT, that illustrates this. The input is experience workers, job specifications, training time. The processes are the systematic instruction, guided practice, the feedback. The output is the qualified workers, reduced error, the faster proficiency. The context is organizational culture, production demands, management support. And with this, there is a need to understand that what are the system boundaries there in HRD. Modern HRD struggles with the boundary definition. Is leadership development could be separated from the succession planning? Where does the training ends and where does the training end and the performance support begin? The system thinking helps us to see as interconnected subsystems rather than silos. At Dr. Reddy's lab, HRD is not a separate department, but collaborates seamlessly with business units, quality assurance, and regulatory teams. The learning outcomes are embedded directly into standard operating procedures. A systems approach that secures compliance and accelerates knowledge transfer across functions in this regulated industry. Consider how technology blurs boundaries. E-learning platforms connects formal training, informal training, performance support, and knowledge management. The challenge is designing coherent systems despite fuzzing boundaries. And for applying systems thinking, there is need to bring a different kind of the HRD mindset. Let's look at how to apply systems thinking in HRD. There are certain challenges. The first challenge is low training transfer. The traditional view is that the learners are not motivated or training design is poor. The systems view is transfer is influenced by multiple systems levels. Individual, there is a motivation, ability, confidence. At team, there is a peer support, shared expectations. At organizational level, the culture, resources, reward systems. In the Indian context, a specific systemic barrier often includes high power distance. Subordinates hesitate to apply new methods without explicit supervisor's approval. The hierarchical communication, information flows top down, limiting bottom up. Limited management buying in, when bosses view training as a time away from work rather than investment. Other is chalta hai mindset, the systemic acceptance of status quo over the change implementation. The proposed solution could be design transfer thinking, not just training program. Include managers' involvement all through the HRD intervention. Create peer learning groups or communities of practice that will provide the real social support. Align organizational KPIs and reward systems with the new behaviors. For example, Infosys Education and Research Unit does not just train, it creates the entire ecosystem supporting the continuous learning and application. Then there is a second challenge. You may say that the resistance to change, and the traditional view is the people resist change, and the system view is the systems seek equilibrium. Resistance is natural. This is natural feedback, and the solution is understand resistance as a system information. What subsystems are threatened? What can change be introduced to minimize systems disruption while achieving transformation? The third challenge is measuring HRD's impact. The traditional view is measuring learning outcome, that what should be done, but the systems view is impact occurs across system levels with time delays and indirect effects. The solution is develop multi-level evaluation considering immediate outputs, intermediate outputs, and long-term system changes. Recognize the causality in complex system, which is curvilinear, which is hardly linear. So therefore, there is a need to understand that application of the systems thinking in HRD at conceptual level, it is very easy, but at the practice level, the challenges which some of the challenges which just now I referred needs to be addressed from a very practical mindset and orientation. Else, the systems thinking, one of the powerful tools in HRD, that will remain only at the theoretical level, and the practitioners of HRD, they will remain devoid of implementation of a powerful tool in actual world of practice. Thank you so much. See you soon in my next lecture. Thank you.